This is Grace Notes. I'm Alan Button, and pleased to have as our guest with us in the studio today, Sheila Jacobson. Sheila, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Just by way of a little bit of introduction, Sheila, let me tell our listeners a little bit about you in terms of background. Sheila is a registered nurse by training, a graduate of Northern Arizona University, and a North Carolina resident as of about 6 years ago, having grown up in Michigan and then spent almost 20 years in Arizona with her husband. And I know there's a lot more we could say about you, Sheila. Let me add, I guess, before we go on, you're the mother of more than a couple of children, and we'll let you fill in the gaps as we go along, and the wife of Brian. Welcome again, Sheila.
Thank you so much.
Sheila's story came to our attention, or Sheila came to our attention because of her connection with what are called blessing boxes. And I think, Sheila, at this point, I want to turn it over to you to tell us first what blessing boxes are, and then we'll talk about how you got to the point where those have become a part of your life. What are blessing boxes?
Okay, so blessing boxes are a community-driven project. They started out many years ago in Oklahoma, and now they're all over the world. And we started those in one in Fuquay and one in Garner recently, after knowing a neighboring county that touched so many through these boxes. We man them through Facebook on our website called Wake County Blessing Boxes.
And you're the administrator?
I am.
Uh-huh.
And we fill them daily with new non-perishable and personal items that people can take 24/7. They're always available for those in the community.
Tell you what, let's leave it there for now and back up and have you tell us something about what got you involved with blessing boxes to begin with. And I know there are some significant family priorities, and there's a significant family background story to your having gotten involved in blessing boxes. Would you mind telling us something about that?
I'd love to share.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you this blessing box journey without first telling you about Amari.
Uh-huh.
Amari was born in 2016, and she was a precious baby that was life-flighted to Duke University Hospital with her brain outside of her head. It's called an encephalocele. She was very, very sick, and she spent 4 months with us in the intensive care nursery, and I was blessed to be one of her nurses for those 4 months. She was blind and deaf, and all she had was touch. Her diagnosis list was very, very long. She had every specialist I think a person could possibly have, but she was absolutely precious. She was a twin. Mom had the twin, and baby was just so sick that mom wasn't able to care for her, so she left her at the hospital. After 4 months, Amari was placed in an institution in Greenville, and my heart was broken. I missed her dearly, and I just kept praying for her and thinking about her and telling my children, Noah and Anna, and my husband Brian, this precious baby is in an institution and she's not being held, and all she had was touch. And I contacted the county that was working with her and said, I was her nurse, and I took care of her for 4 months, and I would love to visit her. And they okayed it, and I was able to visit, and eventually my husband and children were able to visit her. And at about 8 months old, she was about 8 months old, we visited for about 4 months, an hour and a half drive. Every time we had a day off, we'd travel up as a family and hold her for hours.
This was from Garner.
From Garner.
Uh-huh.
We'd go to Greenville anytime we could and hold her, especially Sundays because we were all together and the kids weren't in school, and we'd hold her all day. When we left, it was getting harder and harder. And my kids, amazingly, said, Mom, why don't we just bring her home? And I thought, well, shoot, what are we doing? And we said to the county, we'd like to bring her home and foster her. And we did. At 8 months old, she was able to come home with us and live with us full time. We fostered her for almost 700 days in our home. She thrived in our care. And after 700 days, we adopted her on May 24th of 2019.
Tell us the names of your other kids.
So Noah is 18. He's at Elizabeth City State University and as a freshman. And Anna is a 16, and she's at Garner High School.
Uh-huh.
And I also have a 21-month-old foster son brain injury in my care right now that I've had for about 15, 16 months.
With respect to Amari, it was a family decision.
It absolutely was a family decision. I couldn't do it without him. Church family, immediate family, friends. It was definitely a whole tribe of people.
Tell you what, Sheila, we'll come back and continue with your story, but let's go to this first song that you've selected, because I think it probably fits in pretty well right here. Rescue by Lauren Daigle.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about it.
Lauren has spoken to me through many songs, but this song in particular, I have prayed out to God a few times in my life, in particular when Amari being so sick and struggling with her seizures. And I looked to this song and you know, that there was someone there to rescue me and hold me up. And I believe every word this song says. It speaks to me.
Let's hear it. Rescue by Lauren Daigle.
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgot. Oh, I will rescue you.
That was Rescue by Lauren Daigle. If you're just joining us, our guest today is Sheila Jacobson. Sheila, the impetus behind what now are proliferating blessing boxes in Wake County. Sheila, we'll let you tell more of how that came to be, but let's pick back up, if we could, with your story about Amari. You said that you adopted Amari in May of 2019. Why don't you pick up from there?
That's correct. After fostering for 700 days, we finally were blessed to adopt her on May 24th of 2019. When she was adopted, we were going through quite a battle. Although she had done so many amazing things that nobody ever thought she could do, we found out in February that she actually had a tumor on her cerebellum. This tumor was so large that it was causing her to seize almost every day. So she was having seizures and in a lot of pain, and it was putting pressure on her optic nerve. And we found out that that was why Amari was blind, that this tumor was impeding her vision. So we talked to some great surgeons up at Duke, and we decided to have surgery and have it removed. So before her adoption date, she actually had surgery on May 5th to remove that tumor off her brain. If we would have left it there, it would have grown so large that it would have put pressure on her brainstem and she would have passed. So we didn't have a choice. We removed it, and she did amazing after the surgery. We're in the hospital only 5 days after brain surgery.
She was how old at that point?
She was 2.5.
2.5.
2.5 years old. And she was a rock star. She came home, and our baby could see for the first time in her life. And it was amazing. She was lifting her arms. She was using speech buttons, things she could never do. But unfortunately, in July, one day she woke up and she wasn't very responsive to me. She was on a lot of machines, and her machines showed that she was fine. And we checked on her every 2 hours. She had a feeding tube. So we were up every 2 hours, and she was fine previously, but the last time I checked on her in the morning at 6, as I was getting ready for work, she just didn't seem like herself. My husband and my son were actually on a mission trip in Brazil with our church family. So it was just my daughter, Anna, and I home. So I called the ambulance, and she was stable. But we took her to the emergency room at Duke, and unfortunately, Amari passed away on July 31st, 2019. We are still unsure of how or why that God called her home, but she lived for a week on life support. And as a family, as soon as we could get Brian and Noah out of Brazil and home, we let her go home to be with God.
We'll come back to the blessing boxes, Sheila, but you told me before we came into the studio that your song selections really were selected by you and your family together. Have I got that right?
Yes. My brothers, my children, Brian, we played songs for weeks, thinking of things that spoke to us about Amari and our foster adoption journey, the blessing boxes, hope. But this song in particular by Billy Joel, Lullaby, just kind of made us all weep, knowing that every single word he said about rocking and singing, and we've sang so many songs over Amari and with her, and this song brought back just beautiful memories of her.
Well, Billy Joel, of course, is well known to our listeners, but I dare say that many will hear this song perhaps by him for the first time, and it is indeed a great song. Thank you, Sheila, for... That was Lullaby by Billy Joel. Sheila, you told us about Amari's story. Tell us in brief where you've gone since then, family-wise.
Right. So about 4 months after Amari passed, the county asked us to take in another traumatic brain injury child who was 5 months old.
This is Wake County.
Wake County, yes. They contacted me. We are licensed for medically fragile children in Wake County.
And I gather from what you've told me before that there are very few people in Wake County identified as available for fostering of medically fragile children. Did I get the right terminology there?
That's right. They told us that there's 3 of us, actually, is the last time they told me. There's 3 families that take in medically fragile in Wake County. So when they called, Amari had only been gone for about 4 months, and I said no multiple times, but eventually said yes. And for the last 16 months, we have had a little guy live with us who has had a traumatic brain injury, and he's doing very well.
Well, how are you doing?
We're doing good. I threw everything into these blessing boxes. It gave me hope. When I was searching and just broken, our family was broken. There's no other way to say it. We lost our precious sunshine. We called her our sunshine. I kept thinking, what in the world can we do to get our focus off of the grief and the pain of losing her? And there was a neighboring county that had blessing boxes that were doing so well. And at the time I was doing case management, and I sent a lot of families to these boxes, and they were thriving. And
you're talking about Johnston County?
Johnston County, yes.
Uh-huh.
I worked for Johnston County Health Department and as a case manager or care manager, and they had one at every fire station, and I sent so many clients there to fill their needs, and they were used. And so I just started thinking, Garner, Wake County, where are our boxes, And I just started searching, and it just gave me something to put all my grief into. And my family was on board, and we started with my pastor at Calvary Raleigh on 1010 Road, and I just went to my pastor and I said, Pastor David, what do you think of this? And he said, let's do it. Let's do it. So our first box went up. Our first blessing box went up at Calvary Raleigh Church in memory of Amari. It's got her sweet little picture on it, and it's got the blessing box saying, take what you need, bring what you can. Above all, be blessed. And that went up on what would have been her 4th birthday.
And you've since also gotten connected with the Garner Fire Department.
Absolutely. I started talking to both of them about the same time. And I finally got a name of Chief Matt Poole, from the Garner Fire Department. And it only took one conversation with that man, and he was just amazing. He said, Sheila, this is what Garner Fire and Rescue is all about. Not only are we willing to put a box up in Garner, but we want to build it. We want to put it up. We want to stock it. We don't want you to pay for anything. We don't want you to work with the city planning. We'll do it all. And they did. And as promised, it was put up in November, and that box is extremely busy. It's at the Garner Fire Administration Building, and Chief Poole and his men have been fabulous. They keep it stocked, helping the community and us keep it stocked. And they do all the repairs on the box. It's been a wonderful blessing for that community.
Let me interrupt there and have us go to this next song that you've selected. We're actually going to add another song here, and the reason I would suggest that we do that is because I think it fits in with your sort of dedication of these boxes to Amari, and then we'll hear more about the boxes. Does that sound all right?
Sounds great.
You'll Be in My Heart by Phil Collins. Anything you want to say about it, Sheila?
This song just, of course, a piece of my heart's gone because Amari's gone. But her story's living on through these boxes. It means a lot to our family that people know Amari's story, that her memory lives on, not only in our hearts, but in everybody else's. And these boxes have been a blessing to the community. And we pray over these boxes, and we pray over the people that need these boxes. And we're thankful. And these words just meant a lot to us.
Let's hear it. You'll Be in My Heart by Phil Collins.
Come stop your crying, it will be alright. Just take my hand, hold it tight. Always.
Sheila, before we went to that song, you were telling us about the blessing boxes and how they got started. And by the way, I'm reminded that you said that Amari's picture is on the boxes. Is it boxes plural?
Yeah, there are two boxes with her picture on it.
Tell us again what the motto is.
Sure. It's take what you need, bring what you can. Above all, be blessed.
Great motto, very fitting. Tell us how blessing boxes differ from food pantries.
Sure. So blessing boxes not only have non-perishable goods, but they also have personal items, toothpaste, toothbrush, shampoo, deodorant, things that you wouldn't get at a food pantry. But blessing boxes are also open 24/7. They never close, whereas a food pantry, at your local church might be open every Thursday from 5 to 9. These blessing boxes are put in areas where we know that there's poverty or there's a need. You really think about where you place a blessing box, and you put them in areas that there's high foot traffic.
Because transportation is often an issue for
Absolutely.
people in need.
Most people that can't afford food, they don't have a car. So you need to be mindful of where you're placing your blessing boxes. And we did this with Chief Poole, discussing which firehouse would be great. And we decided on the admin building because there are 3 homeless men that live across the street that we're aware of. It's also by some low-income apartment buildings. There's a lot of foot traffic. And that box is empty almost every day.
You were saying before how your experience with Amari and fostering generally, it really takes a tribe, and I guess that's true too of the blessing boxes.
Absolutely. I think they kind of go hand in hand. You can't foster or adopt, take care of medically fragile kids, or run a blessing box without a community behind you. Church community, your family, your friends, and with Facebook, our Wake County Blessing Box site, That's how we man this, or both of these boxes, and other boxes that have come about. There have been, I think, 4 other boxes that have come about, not that we put up ourselves, but other churches, other people in the community have said, wow, this is a great thing. These boxes are a great thing. How do we do this? And they've reached out to me, and I've sent plans of the boxes, and certainly prayed for them and encouraged them along the way. And we've added more boxes to our Wake County Blessing Box site on Facebook. But yes, it's community driven. That's what this whole project is about. It's about the community supporting the community. It's about loving on everybody around you. You couldn't do it by yourself.
And I guess, as they say, what goes around comes around. You were telling me about a little boy who has gotten involved in donation.
Yes, a mom posted on Facebook. The story touched my heart, and I think this is what brings so much joy out of these boxes. Is although our family suffered such grief and pain losing our precious girl, watching these stories come across on Facebook, or having someone come up to you in the parking lot and say, "Did you fill the box?" and having homeless people show me what they've gotten out of the box, and but in particular, this story, a mom had posted that. She was using the box often because they were in a very rough spot. And when she got back on her feet, she started donating to the boxes, both boxes at Calvary Raleigh and at the other one in Garner. And her little boy, I think she said he was about 7, put $1 in one day, and he said, "Mama," he said, "they've helped us so much. I hope this $1 helps them." Stories like that make this all worth it. I mean, it's not easy losing a child, and if anybody listening to this has lost a child, I'm certainly praying for you and your family. I know how tough it is, but find something to pour all that love into, and find something that can bless others. And I promise you, the blessings come back. And it certainly did with just that little post from that mom telling me about that $1.
It strikes me that there are not many people that can do what you and your husband and your kids have done in terms of fostering and adopting someone in Amari's condition. But you mentioned donation and support. What can you say about that in terms of those who maybe even feel guilty or just incapable of sacrificing in the way you have? Are there things that they can do?
Well, I just want to say that God gifted all of us in so many different ways. And we couldn't do this alone. We couldn't adopt, foster, do the blessing boxes alone. You need to search and find your gift, what you've been gifted with, whether that's supporting a family by bringing them a meal. Maybe it's just praying. Maybe it's babysitting. Maybe it's letting Brian and I go out on a date. Find what you can gift them with, a family like ours. Maybe it's just a text or an encouraging word. It's not always about things, and things sometimes don't mean as much. I really just dig deep and find out what you can give others, what you can help, what you can do. I guarantee that you have a gift. I guarantee that you could bless somebody.
If people would like to follow what is going on with the blessing boxes that you've gotten going in Wake County, where on Facebook can they go to find out that information? So
just go on and type in Wake County Blessing Boxes, and you just give us a friend request, and we'll we'll approve it, and then you can follow the journey. And if you fill it, you can take a picture and say it's filled. If it's empty, you can take a picture, say it's empty. That's how we track things. But we'd love the support. We'd love people to join and follow. And we'd love people to start blessing boxes in their own communities.
Sheila, we're a bit short on time, but you've got another song that we talked about before we came into the studio that I think would be a great one to end with. Tell us about Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yes. So is We were blessed.
Is being the name. The shorthand name
yeah,
for
is
the
Israel.
Hawaiian singer here.
Yes, it's a beautiful song, and it reminded our family of a wonderful trip we took with our sister-in-law and my father-in-law and our extended family, and to Hawaii. And some of our loved ones are now in heaven as well with Amari. And this song just pulled it all together for us as a family, that there's so much hope and there's so much more to look forward to. And I hope this song blesses you as much as it does our family.
And I don't know, Sheila, if you want to say anything about it, but I know from having talked to you before we came into the studio that trip was prompted in part by illness on the part of your husband, sister-in-law, your sister-in-law.
That's right. My sister-in-law, Julie, just in her 40s, had a brain tumor, glioblastoma, and she wanted to go to Hawaii before she passed away. And so our family said, let's go. And we all went, and we had an amazing trip. And we played this song as we were flying over a helicopter over a waterfall. And I see that as heaven. In my brain, I see Julie, Brian's father, Jack, my brother, Ronnie. I see all these people there. My friend Marie, who passed away shortly before Amari did. I see all these people there in this song. When I hear this song, I see them all in heaven with my daughter. And I feel just uplifted. And I know that they're all just waiting for me, and I can't wait to get there.
Sheila, thank you for coming in today. I have to say that while I appreciate your sharing, and I know it's been tough, but the grief that you've expressed, it works in a way in listeners, I'm sure, because I'm one who finds what you say inspiring, and it's been a great reminder of the bigger picture. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Let's hear the song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Is.